Time to get it going here on the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee, Derek Brandeo, and Jake the Snake Schultz. It's the Leaf Hour edition of our program. Live on Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 360, Sportsnet Plus. Just mere moments ago, the transfer of studios from the Blair and Barker show, which we welcome them back. It's home opener tomorrow. We're all jacked.
Yeah.
We're all pumped.
Yeah.
I came in and I mentioned to Jeff and Kevin.
Yes.
I'm really excited about the season. The tickets are a tad expensive. And they laid a beating on me.
That was unrelenting. It was really nice to not do
beating.
it, but to get to witness it.
An absolute beating.
You know, a good teammate, maybe I should have stepped in on your behalf, but I was kind of enjoying it.
Barker was Chara and I was McCabe. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Ragdolled.
That was
Good,
great.
good dudes.
And by the way, the tickets are properly priced to watch our beloved Toronto Blue Jays.
Absolutely.
It's
Yeah.
okay. Like, the food's better. The popcorn's fresher.
Yeah.
You're aimed at the actual baseball game now, which is nice. A little more room.
I want to get into those comfy seats behind home plate.
Okay. Well, I mean,
Can you
Just
you go?
buy them.
You know anybody?
you have the money. Just buy them. Circle a game against the Royals in May,
Yes.
and you can sit right behind the home plate with this thing called money.
You ever
that
done
you
that?
have. Never.
I've never done that.
There's
either.
nothing for me.
What's the deal? Do you know what the deal is?
No.
Like,
I think it's
all
too
you
close.
can eat, all you can drink.
Oh, really?
I don't
didn't know that.
I'm asking.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Somebody must have dished out the bucks for
Fancy people text our show and tell us what it's like to sit behind home
Oh,
plate.
what's the guy from Rush that sits back there? Getty Lee. Maybe
Yes.
Getty Lee listens to our show. Text us in, Getty Lee, and tell
That
us.
would be incredible.
First of all, they're too comfortable. I'd be asleep probably 20 minutes.
And there will be Nick Kypreos from Sportsnet falls asleep.
But there was no sleeping last night
Nice seg.
for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they pounded the Florida or Philadelphia Flyers. I can't even remember who they are.
Hey, quickly, before we get
Yeah.
into that, we mentioned yesterday about Jacob Chychrun, and we were talking about the 8-year contract, and then we were talking about like the contract he would get after his 8-year contract. And then we were like, well, that's a long way away. Like well, Jim Nantz today just
I
announced
saw this.
What?
that his last Masters is going to be 2036. So he has given us an 11-year runway. So us talking about Jacob Chychrun's next contract, totally within our rights.
Yeah,
it's totally within
the
our rights.
farewell tour is not 11 years, Jim. I'm sorry.
11
Might get hit by lightning. Kip yesterday said we're all going to drop dead of a heart attack.
I said we
Together.
could. I didn't say we will. I said we
Together.
could. Therefore,
Together.
Ovi shouldn't be passing up any empty netters.
That's right. That made sense.
Anyways, I thought it was funny.
All right. I wasn't on yesterday's show overly excited about the game.
No, you weren't.
Because I had a real strong feeling that while it may be good for padding your stats, I'm not sure what you can get. I was actually expecting that type of game Saturday night against Nashville. It didn't happen, but it certainly happened last night.
You know, it doesn't happen that often over the course of a year. You know, really, and you play lots of bad teams lots of times, but that was the single, and I'll say the word that people like to say, that was an easy win. That was an easy hockey game. Philly didn't make it hard on them in any direction. The goaltender was really, really bad.
I kind of feel bad for the Leafs because
David Ayerson?
there's
David.
Yeah, no,
There's-
David
Oh,
Ayerson.
gotcha.
Ayerson.
Gotcha. There we are.
Thank you.
there's no real way to come out of that game other than you did what you were supposed to do,
Yeah.
opposed to, hey, really saw some great things out there.
There was no way to win. There's no way to
No,
come in
they
here and
can't
ever.
win.
But they did everything they could do and should do.
Yes, that they were supposed to
But
do.
we learned nothing.
Nothing.
I feel no different about anything in any
Did
direction.
we learn anything more about third or fourth lines? Did we learn
Nothing.
anything more about
Well,
shutting down a team and not blowing a lead? I mean,
No.
did we learn nothing but putting a team away that was supposed to be put away?
nothing for me. Yeah, I mean, yes, they
It's okay.
they executed and they
Yes.
did their job. You know, great plays. Willie Nylander obviously made some wonderful plays. 4-point night. Tavares continued to stay hot. 10 goals in the month of March is leading the NHL for him, which is fantastic. The power play was buzzing. It was great. It was a fun, relaxing game to watch. Not often watching the Leafs, Sammy. I'm sure you'd agree. Would you just be like, this is pleasant. This is in hand.
Yeah. No, and especially this year, they haven't blown out anybody.
Yeah.
So it is. I think if there's one thing that I learned about watching last night, that maybe I should invest in an amulet because
I don't know. Domi's an amulet guy, too.
Well,
Any commercials lately?
no,
Any
no,
mentions?
no. But like, this is a pretty remarkable year for John Tavares. I know we talked about it yesterday a bit, but I mean, for him, we ended up with 4 points last night, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know their Flyers suck, but so does Nashville. So I thought that that line in general, if there's something that I learned out of this game, is that they have a legit second line to go into the playoffs with.
Yeah. I will say I've been trying not to say anything negative after that, but I also feel like we learned that third line is still no good. They didn't create anything. I know Domi had one nice individual rush, but that's separate from, hey, he works on a line. Anyway, let's skip over that because I don't want to be negative Nancy.
All right, let's see or hear Craig Berube's
You're going to love this one.
Kipper's Clipper, the first one, and whether or not he felt like there was anything to be learned last night. Clip one.
Good response, good bounce back game. You know, right from the get-go, I thought that we played, a good hockey game overall, all 3 periods.
Pretty good. I actually should have leaned on you, Sam, to get the Tortorella clip.
Oh, no,
You
we
that?
got it. We
Oh,
got it.
great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
no, I don't want to get into it.
too soon?
Right. Yeah, too soon. Let's stay with the Leafs, and then we'll
Okay.
move it over to
All right.
Flyers. But I just want to follow up because while it's still fresh on, again, Lawton and third line, bit of a concern even after last night. I mean, are we at the point where we are just going to look at the first 2 lines and say, you guys
go get him,
got to
Tigers.
drive the offense and hope that Tavares and Willie feel as good in the first round as they did last night? Although Matthews and Marner didn't have a great night cookie-wise, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They're going to be there at the end to push the offense as best that they can. And then just be in a position where you're like, okay, so third line, if it includes Lawton, your job is just to shut down whoever you're playing against. And that's it.
Okay.
That's it. That's your job now from here on
Okay.
in. Don't care if you score another goal. The only way this is going to work right now is if we create a shutdown line.
Okay, then make it a shutdown line. That would be fine for me. But Domi and Robertson are they're 2 weakest defensive forwards on the hockey club. So not a shutdown line with Lawton. So that's not it. The third line, go ahead.
Okay. Shuffle the deck then.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
then create that third line.
absolutely. I totally think
Okay.
that's the answer. And I'm fine with the idea of a shutdown.
So
third line.
that may mean, Max, you're with game 1. You're running shotgun with Matthews and Marner.
Awesome. I'm in.
So yesterday, I asked you guys a question about the role of Morgan Riley and sort of diminishing the role and all that stuff. And your answer was that it's too late to do that. It's too late to really start doing that, Kyper, was something that you alluded to. You're going to completely break up the top line that's been one of the better lines, heading into play, right before play. What are we, 11 games, 10 games here before the playoffs start?
Yeah.
You're going to completely, materially change your entire lineup right before the playoffs start?
I would say you'd be making a great point, and you are in theory, if those guys in many different iterations hadn't had the exact success they're currently having.
Yes.
Whether it's been with Bunting or Hyman or Richie or Thornton, whatever.
Well,
I bet
Richie
you,
didn't.
But whatever it is, their points per game is,
Yes.
it doesn't matter. It has yet to matter who's in that left wing spot. Maybe you think Nyes has moved the needle a little. Matthews has contributed less. I bet you they're right back to kind of where they've always been. I don't know if Kip plays left wing for them. I think they get 2-3 points a game.
Off my ass.
Yeah, you would know where to go stand and what to do. I don't think you'd be
I understand
tearing
your
up a
point,
great line.
Sammy.
It just feels it's getting a little late for that.
It's different It's just
They've also played with him. With Domi.
it's just shuffling the chairs a little bit. I think
Deck chairs
it's a
on a ship.
that's staying up, Sammy.
Headed for an iceberg.
That's floating.
Okay, it's a floating ship.
It's a floating ship.
And it's a nice day.
It's a nice day.
Okay.
And it's much different than just pulling a guy like Morgan's minutes down 5 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
Did you put some thought then into the idea of Nyes, McMahon, Lawton?
I'm trying to think of big and heavy just to play
big.
against.
It's pretty big. Nyes,
And
McMahon.
No, I can't take Nyes and McMahon off the top 6.
No?
No. I can take one of them.
How about
And I think
Max Pacioretty comes back from Robidoux Island?
Holmberg, Lawton, and Pacioretty.
Oh, I'm in.
Okay? Play heavy, play big.
And Lawton and Pacioretty are probably 10 to 20 goal guys.
If Patch is healthy,
Yeah.
he's going to piss somebody off. He's going to catch them with their head down.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me 2 weeks of running around like you did in October and November before you break down? I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's the way I think I'd start.
Have we heard an update on said Max Pacioretty?
This guy has to be back.
Is
He
there-
hurt himself with a tweak in a skate.
Yeah. I mean, has we have any indication? Like, maybe I'll tell our boy Luke to ask at practice next time, but like, there hasn't been anything on him. So
No.
banking on him seems like you're banking on forward Hockenpah here. Like, I don't know if it's going to be coming back anytime soon.
Okay,
You're
let's
not
let's follow it up with Bobby McMahon, Craig Berube, clip 5 on Big Bobby.
Quietly goes about his business. And, I think you get pretty consistent play out of him in terms of what he needs to do to be successful. He does a lot of things right every game. And they go unnoticed a lot of times. But skating, he really does a great job of pushing D back all the time with his speed, and he's very consistent at it. And like I said, he skates really extremely well, and he's a big, strong guy, and he's on top of pucks all the time.
Okay, I disagree with Chief that it goes unnoticed.
Yeah.
Because
We are
I told
highly
him
complimentary.
when he signed his 2-year deal at 1.2 or 1.4,
yeah, whatever it
he's
is.
got rocks in his head. That guy would
Maybe
be
a little
looking.
harsh.
That guy would be looking at $3 or $4 million right now.
20 goals for Bobby McMahon. What an
Maybe-
accomplishment for a
maybe
guy.
25 by the time he's done.
And he played in the American League a year and a half ago.
The East Coast League
Right.
2
Yeah.
years ago.
Hey,
And he was a healthy scratch to start the year.
Yes.
What if that happened?
we give Leaf management some shots every once in a while for overpaying, but not this contract, man.
To be honest, they get some really good deals outside of
Yep.
the guys.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Second line.
That was it's a quote again about what Bobby brings to it, but let's play that clip on the second line.
Clip 2.
I think since putting Bobby on there just adds so much speed and strength to the line. He's a big, strong guy that can skate. Seems like he's always on the puck, create some battles for those guys. They get the puck, and obviously they can make plays, and Johnny can score, and so they've been effective for us since we put them together. I've been happy with them.
So they're not ones to go away from something like that. He likes it. That's going to be a thing. So I don't think McMahon's playing on third line anytime soon.
No. And if they're feeling it, you roll with it.
Yeah, I guess the third line thing still. Well, we have a quote on that
But-
too we can get to.
I think this is just the personnel boarding. Like, I think
But
this
it's
is
not,
just,
Sam.
but I mean, what are you?
You, me, and Bunk were setting some possible lineups. None of them look like that.
I know, but they've been so hesitant to do anything other
Yeah.
than what any coach has. I think it's actually in the Leafs coaching book that they hand you when you come in. It's like Matthews and Marner and John Tavares and William Nylander. flip them back and forth. That's what you can do. But outside of that, there's nothing you can do. Those are the only things.
Something that we haven't really looked at much.
Those are the only things you do. So
option A or B.
Outside of that, they've done it once all year where they put them on 3 separate lines for not even for a full game. It's just not going to happen.
It's funny though, Kip. Like every time I make a lineup, like all right, this is what it looks like. It doesn't have Robertson in it, and I like Robertson. I think I've been fairly Robertson praising this year by and large. But it's tough for me to see that spot.
Well, because
day one.
you know playoff hockey.
Well, it was at Holmberg that was out last night.
Yes.
Like he's going to be in. He's heavy. He competes. He defends. He forechecks. He hits.
Yes.
End of story. That's it.
He leans
That's what
on
it
people.
boils down to.
And unfortunately, Nick, heart of gold.
Hard worker,
really
great
fast,
shooter, great player.
right? Never quits on pucks.
And there's going to be injuries. He's
But-
going to play.
Bounces off people a lot.
I would be shocked if you don't see Nick Robertson by game 3, likely game 2, but I don't think he'll be there game 1.
I think he's kind of made his way out of the scratch rotation here, though. For me, like if you think about the last little while,
Kampf, Yarncroc, Holmberg,
Holmberg,
anyone but him.
So
So what has he done in those games they've given him?
Not a ton.
No.
So to me, the fact that we'll see what happens when they go to San Jose, but that feels like a game they'd play him in that kind of game. But
Bad penalty, and then he didn't get it deep after. I bet he doesn't play.
really,
Yeah.
I just feels like to me that he's kind of out of that scratch rotation at the moment. So we'll see. But they're desperate for anybody else other than the top 6 to shoot it in the net. No one does.
Grab a spot.
And what does he have? 13, 12 goals or whatever this year? Like it's not a ton, but they kind of need the chance of a goal.
I think you're making great points.
They need a chance. Like no one else gives them a
Someone
chance.
who can do it. Give me a chance.
Well, no,
I was actually going to say
What other
that's
guy-
Lawton on the bench. Give me a chance.
Who else in the bottom 6 is like a threat? Yarncroc, maybe.
And
Watching him lately, I'm a little worried about
Yes.
Yarny.
Domi, I
not
guess.
Not sure who had
Just 7 on the year.
Not sure who had a worse night last night in the NHL, the Philadelphia Flyers or the Pittsburgh Penguins against Tampa Bay. But you're watching that team, and it's like Point,
Everything's great.
Kucherov, and then you go into Cirelli, and it's like, boy, could the Leafs use a Cirelli type of guy, quiet.
How about Naz
But-
Kadri, who's shot it in the net in overtime 2 of the last 3 games for the
Scores the tying goal, then goes in on a breakaway, undresses. Who's the goalie for Seattle? I'm blanking. Undresses and puts it in.
Grubauer. Is he still there?
No, it's
But in the
guy
meantime,
Oh, yeah.
that was supposed to be Canadian that were like so desperate for a goalie.
Yeah.
in the mean-
Joey Decord.
Thank you.
in the meantime, you rely on your big boys, and Willie Nylander did that last night. I have not heard any of your Kippers Clippers. I imagine Craig Berube really likes them.
Well, play it. We'll see.
Clip 3.
He's got great ability. We all know that. And great shot. He does a lot of good things. Like, he's very talented. So, goal scoring, obviously he's been pretty consistent throughout his career. He's got an opportunity to surpass the 40 goals, obviously, but I thought Willie tonight, the goals are one thing, but for me, tonight, I thought that he checked really well. I thought he was on top of things, broke plays up, back check, broke plays up, and then from defense to offense, he's so quick with his agility and speed that he creates going the other way right away. He was solid tonight all around.
I love that player. I love the guy.
I thought, did you watch early in the game when he's skating backwards looking for the breakaway and then went offside?
Yeah,
Did see that. Did you see on
That one I thought, I'm not sure what kind of night it's going to be.
the Ryan Paling goal where
Gone.
Gone. He hits it and he's not even back in the shot.
It's
Camera shot.
Not even on my screen,
Yeah, I know.
right?
It
And then
is-
there's like, with all due respect, that start and that goal that they gave up was kind of typical of the things that we've seen the last 6 weeks, month,
Yeah, it's funny.
2 months.
Chief talks about Willie like a parent with their kid, where you're like, don't praise their success, but the effort. You want to drive home the point that like we're not proud of the outcome; it's the effort we like. Just bring the effort every night. He's trying to.
Yeah, but that goal, bothered me a little bit.
Which one?
The first one Philly got, right? That's the stuff
It bothered me until the Leafs scored 7.
Yeah, of course it did, but it may bother you in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, but I trust that the effort level's there with Willie in the first round of the playoffs. Like, it's
not effort.
Him
Kip, that's
him falling asleep against the Flyers.
It's bad play Tavares. They need a save.
Effort has nothing to do with it.
Tavares tries to go up the wall, and that's a bad play. Yeah. And then it's a shot from the top of the circles that the goalie
It's
can
not
stop.
Tavares. It's the whole thing. It's like how do you think you're going to break out?
Don't be
your
too
zone
fancy.
When Tavares is facing the glass and he cannot see Willie. Willie can't see him because they both have their backs towards each other.
Yeah, he should just reverse it to
whatever the case is. That's not how you break out of your own zone when you've got the puck.
A little stretched out.
Right?
They were a little stretched out.
A little stretched out. I got a kick out of his comment.
We have it.
Yeah, let's play it.
Yeah.
Willie Nylander, clip 1.
40 goals is hard to do. Consecutive seasons of 40 goals is hard to do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, just trying to do what I'm paid to do. That's it.
That's
it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Nylander.
I hate it.
Why?
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear money. I don't want to hear I'm. I don't want to hear I just want to hear we.
Oh, my God.
Hey.
They asked him a question about him. He said,
Just
glorify it.
I'm paid what I'm supposed to do. You're paid to win, buddy. You're paid to help this team win a Stanley Cup. That's what you're paid to do.
In the last 3 seasons, 2 players have 40 goals, and he's one of them.
I know.
Who's the other one?
But just
Leon.
I know.
Oh.
I was trying to quiz.
Oh, I see.
stick to the we part.
Oh. Boo. Guy asked, he gave a great answer.
That's fine. It's Willie's answer.
Yeah, but
It's Willie's answer.
But then we always make fun of guys for being boring. He's like, it's just.
I think that was boring too. I think that was pretty uneventful.
What would you rather be? Obviously, it's a tremendous honor for me and my teammates to score 40 goals. It's all my tremendous honor teammates. Amulet.
Just happy to contribute to the ball club.
And if there was ever anybody who got no help on their way to 40, it's with Tavares, who also wants to shoot it, and whoever they rotate through the other wing. He's like, yeah, that was me. I did the 40 right here.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter.
I mean, it is pretty crazy that there's only 2 guys that have done it in 3 straight years. He's one of them. I think he's.
Assume Matthews can get there with 40 this year.
If he gets there.
Lightning hot. He got 13 goals in the last 12 games.
I do think the goal scoring part of his. I don't know if I necessarily think of him as a sniper, or I don't know what I think of him as a hockey player. But that's pretty impressive to be one of 2 guys.
A lot of goals. The hardest thing to do in the game. Someone's got to do it.
It is not an issue putting the puck in the net for those guys.
No.
And the size of the net now for John Tavares right now must feel like a soccer net.
Yeah, it's
shooting on Ayerson,
right? Surprised or not surprised that there's more noise or no noise about him signing a contract?
About Tavares?
Yeah.
Not surprised. I just can't. It just feels like he wants to be a Toronto Maple Leaf, and so everyone's going to sort it out.
They're using that to their advantage, right?
Yeah. I think so.
Which is smart.
I'm sure he would sign a contract if they put one on the table for him.
Well, it depends on what and how much, I guess.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know, but it's smart. We'll see at the end what we got.
I think it's to your point. We've been talking a lot about him just re-signing here, and just he's going to be happy to come back here. And people throwing a hometown discount, whatever. You don't need to say that, but at some point, he looks at his numbers that he's having this year. He's going to be probably have the most points for any UFA center that's out there. Like, I mean, you could probably get a pretty big contract from somebody, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's like, go ahead.
What did Stamkos get?
8, I think.
And how much older is Tavares than Stamkos?
Same age, aren't they?
Around the same age.
Same team.
33, 34.
Yeah.
So what would be, like, he couldn't get that from somebody?
I think he could if that's his priority.
Yeah.
We've had this discussion on the show a million times. You make $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't won anything.
Mm-hmm.
What's important to you?
For sure.
And that's something he'll have to decide. And if the team loses in the first round, they'll say, here's what's important to us, having you not on our team. you
think that if they lose in the first round, they completely walk from him?
I think you definitely won't have Mitch and him back. Definitely won't be both.
Yeah.
There may be a world where, let's say, Mitch leaves and they go, God, we got to keep someone who shoots it in. And, they say, well, we'll give you
2 years,
5.5 or whatever.
Like 2 years.
Sure. Something like that.
Yeah, listen, unfortunately for all four of them, we'll include Tavares with the big three, that they have not found a way to get it done in the playoffs. And if it goes south again early, one or two changes are coming.
Yeah. And there's worse positions to be in than having Matthews and Nylander locked up and $22 million off the books and the cap going up. And yeah, there's no one to go out and get right away. But I do think that flexibility that offers, it's a bit of a weapon.
Even if the Leafs do win a couple rounds, like, are we sure it's not like at some point it's just kind of run its course?
I think if they did what they did 2 years ago, where they go into the second round and just get beaten to a pulp, it's pretty similar to a first-round loss.
But no, I just meant like with Tavares, even if they have some success in the playoffs, like there's no world where the front office, like, it's kind of run its course here. Like, he's been here a long time. It hasn't worked. We haven't won, even with a bit of success. Like, I love John Tavares, and he's given them everything you could ask for in that contract outside of winning multiple playoff rounds. But, like, the value on the scoring and everything that they've given you. But at some point, you just kind of got to cut the cord.
Let me ask you something. Last year, right, or 2 years ago, sorry, they beat Tampa, and it's a really good feeling.
Oh, my
It's
God.
the first one in 18 years.
Yeah, Captain
Right?
Tavares scores the OT winner.
And then
seeing that puck trickle over
and
that goal line is one of the
it was
favorite
like
moments of my life.
a monkey off your back
Yeah.
in many ways.
Mhm.
And then Florida comes in and mops them up, and it's like we've lost that loving feeling. If they were to win 2 rounds, but exit really quickly in the conference final, would it take a similar feel as 2 years ago?
No way.
No, I don't
Conference finals,
Okay, so
conference finals in this city, man. Like, even if you go
got
to
mopped
5
up.
or 6 games in the conference final in this city,
How about a 4-game sweep?
I don't know. That's
I'm
two.
just-
It's 2
you're
different
a super
wins.
fan. You
It's
should
2
know.
different. It's. I haven't been there in a while, bud.
Not drawing on a lot of experience here.
I was in high school. Like, I had an afro the last time this happened.
And it does depend who they're playing too, right?
Yeah.
Like, it probably feels worse if you get beat up by the Canadians in the conference final.
Oh!
Then, well,
Okay, he makes a good point. He makes a really good point.
It depends what it looks like.
Yeah, but it is a huge fork in the road, not only for Marner or Tavares, but Brendan Shanahan.
Yep.
And
Well, hey, I forgot to ask you about this. What did you make of Shanny being in Nashville on the weekend?
Is he not often, or
No, I think this year's had a different feel for him, and it's not like the one that he's typically had as president of hockey ops. I think he's dug in a lot deeper right
team a
now
lot more?
with the team. I think more day to day. He's trying to salvage his team. He's trying to salvage his role as president of hockey ops. So naturally, you're going to be seen or heard from, if not publicly, behind the scenes.
You know, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Watching that team last night, you're reminded of all the good. And
For
the
sure.
reason it's fun to, watch a team who can do that to another team that easily. It was kind of poking around with a friend over some like Leaf numbers and stuff. When they've had Matthews, Tanev, and McCabe in the lineup this year, all 3 of them, I think they're like 25-13-2, 26-13-2. Like, they're a very good team when all 3 of those guys are in the lineup. Watching that last night, it's like, that does give me hope that some of the numbers I've seen throughout this year, that they're a better team than the numbers say. Because when all those guys are in, they're pretty darn good. So,
Okay, before we go to break and then come back for your mailbag, McKee's midweek mailbag.
I'll say it for you. McKee's Midweek Maple Leaf Mailbag.
How come
The 4 M's.
How come you say that like you've been saying it for 10 years, but you still cannot do a reading to save yourself?
you need to practice the.
Yeah. I'll work on that one.
that's
tonight.
Anything with
651
my
to break.
name, anything with my
It's
name,
game
and it
time.
comes so naturally,
Got
right?
it, yeah.
Okay, John Tortorella.
Oh, boy.
If we want to go back to talking about the Flyers, which you wanted to earlier on,
Yes, I did.
that team last night would
We
not
suck.
win a Calder Cup in the American Hockey League last
This is a
night.
line from the Grinch. Stink, stank, stunk. That's them, man. It is gruesome.
Yeah.
They got, nothing good going on. The vibes are down. Like, Torts called the timeout when it was, 5-1, 6-1.
Stood there.
And he didn't even look at him. He was like, everyone just needs a breather. Like a boxer that you call him to the corner between rounds and say, just catch your breath.
It's bad.
There's no plan that's going to help when you get out there. Just catch your breath.
All right, we got a clip of John Tortorella and his frustrations.
It's my job to prepare this team in this type of situation. Haven't done a good enough job past couple of games.
These last 2 games, are you sensing frustration setting in? Maybe it's a cumulative effect from last week playing well and not getting results?
Well, when you're in this type of situation and you're losing all the time and there's nothing at the end of the tunnel for you, there's certainly going to be some frustration. But this falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type of season where we're at right now. But I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play the proper way until we get to the end.
Talking about the end.
Okay, I'm not interested.
Not interested in learning to coach this.
What the hell does
type
that
of season.
mean? I'm not interested.
Okay. How did you interpret that?
I took that as he's having trouble bearing down and caring and focusing, given everyone's just walking the plank right now.
I thought.
Hold on, you're going to ask me the same question?
Well, I thought you just kind of said, what
No,
does it mean?
no,
I think
no,
you looked at both of us and said, what does it mean?
It means that, like, you guys have no chance of making me look like I know what I'm doing.
There's nothing at the end of the tunnel for you.
That's a quitter's comment on the last 10 games to go in the season for me.
I agree with that. And I bet he regrets the way that was.
I'm not interested.
Can you play that last part again, Derek?
I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type in this type of season where we're at right now.
Right?
But I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team
I have to
play the proper way until we get to the end.
I have to because I'm still getting paid, but I'm not interested in your type.
He sees himself as a playoff coach, a winner. This is not his thing.
Like,
what do you?
Well, like I kind of, and I'm not trying to defend Torts, can't stand him, but like at the the end of the year thing. Like, it's just like the end. I don't know how to coach at the end of the year like this, where they're playing out the string. I'm not used to coaching like that.
Not interested.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't defend it. It just, he can't mean what he's like said there. Does he mean what he said?
Been around long enough.
It just surprises me that in Toronto he would say that, like without, like I mean,
it's almost like an advertisement that he's like, I see myself coaching a winner. I'm not interested in being around for this tear down, rebuild. Develop. I'm not a developmental coach.
I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type.
This type, right, of losers.
Yeah. This type of season was what maybe he was trying to get at.
I think it's a rebuild.
Yeah.
I'm not in, develop young guys and try to, you're not trying to win. You're trying to.
What do you think Jonesy and Daniel Briere thought?
I think it's safe to say that he's done behind the bench with that comment.
By his own choosing.
Oh, he's just said it. I have no interest.
Yeah. And it looks like it'll be that next year.
How do you go from I have no interest with 10 games to go in the season to looking forward to training camp with these guys? Tell me how you can do that.
I don't know. And, can you go to the front office of the team and be like, yeah, we're in a rebuild. I just can't coach this group? Or is that mentality, have you shown your colors a little bit there?
I think everything points to the direction that he has a real good relationship with ownership there. They like him, and he's been around long enough, and he is very well respected in so many ways that if they see value in him, he'll stick around. And I don't know, what does he want to do? Does he want to?
Not this.
It doesn't sound like he wants to coach. Does he want to scout? Does he want to player personnel? Does he want to be an advisor? Does he want to save pets?
Maybe he wants to coach a winner.
What do you want to do?
I think he wants to be the special assistant to the manager of the assistant manager.
Buddy, those jobs
That's what he wants.
Unbelievable.
That's what he wants.
Yeah, just cut me like a $100,000 check and I'll show up sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Once a month.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
It does open a door, though.
Buddy, you tell me old Rick Tocchet's watching that game, sitting at home, eating his dinner, going, yeah, that's a team I want to coach. Give me Emile Andre. No offense to Emile, but he's a guy that Domi ate up. Like,
I'm watching him with no stick, like looking like he's going through a turnstile at Kmart when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
He had a tough night.
Yeah, there wasn't pretty. But I think when you have a team that,
I can't want that.
you know,
No, they're not making playoffs next year.
Flyers Hall of Famer, you know, the going home buddies with those guys.
Yep.
Yes.
And if you see it as a long-term, give me a 5-year deal
got
so I know I'm going to be
7
here.
after last night.
Yeah.
7
Yesterday's
I
price is
want
not
the
today's
Kyle
price.
Dubas special.
Yeah.
7 picks in the first 2 rounds this year. Aggressive ownership. I don't know.
That's
I think
fine if they're telling me we're going to use the picks and trade and
Yeah,
get you some players.
that's what I mean.
I'm in. But if these guys are going to be ready in 5 years,
does he get to bring Demko with him? Because they need to
bring Demko with him?
or somebody. They need somebody in net.
yeah.
Anyways,
Okay, let's go to
Mailbag.
break. When we return, we dip into Sammy's, I don't know, what do you call it again?
McKee's
Mid-Maple McKee bag
McKee's
of mail.
mailbag. McKee's mailbag.
That was just a horrible, horrible hook
Mid-McKee
going into the break.
bag of maple.
Stick around anyways when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the show. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. All right, so if I wanted to go to a Blue Jay game and
Here we go.
eat crab legs,
Yes.
where would I go?
Okay. I got
legs
DM.
of a
I got
crab.
a DM from
Yeah.
somebody, a rich person, I guess, who said, Blue Jays Blueprint Club above the dugout.
Blueprint Club.
All you can eat crab
He's
claws,
writing it down.
prime ribs, sushi, candy bar, ice cream, freezies, popcorn, everything they got all game, every game. So
So gout is all you can.
that's according to my source, this guy who DM'd me on Instagram.
What's his name? Give him a shout out.
Kyle.
Kyle.
boy
Thanks,
Kyle.
Eating like a
Rich boy
16th
Kyle.
century
Daddy
king
Warbucks.
with
Appreciate
red
it.
wine and steak, please.
Yeah. Daddy Warbucks.
Is there time to watch the game while I'm stuffing my face?
Seems like an awkward thing to eat crab legs while you're at the
There's
game.
no way there's crab legs.
Of course there is.
But
But like, so I'm sitting there and the camera pans to me.
Just a hot melted butter bowl in your lap with a bib on.
yes. Yes.
no
At the
shot.
venue for crab.
2025, man.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay, what do you got for us?
All right, Sammy.
You got mail.
Oh my God, that brings back bad memories. Really bad memories.
Is that when you put the phone down
Yes.
into the cradle for
No, like, when you-
AOL?
well, no, like,
Just the
Dial-up.
connect sound.
and if you like picked up the phone while somebody was
Or
on
if
the
someone
internet,
called, you just
like it just disconnected.
Yeah.
What a world we used to live in. Anyways, this one's from Johnny Utah on Twitter. Which Leaf is most likely to pull a Kyper-style collision with the opposing goalie in round 1? Like in the 96
Ooh.
playoffs, go Leafs go.
Excellent
First off,
question.
enjoy Johnny a lot. He's great. Thanks
Yeah.
for all your comments and keeping us interested.
Play the right way.
Could it be Domi or Lawton?
It's Lawton.
Yeah, I'd go Lawton already. That guy, you can see it in his eyes. We're still going to see him do whatever he thinks it takes sometimes.
He's looking
It's
for
coming,
a
it's
way
coming.
to help.
Yes.
He's looking for a
Yes.
way in, the cross-check, the fight. He wants to find a way to help.
He's a little off right now, but he's the type of guy that would take one for the team, I think.
And also, he has this like hockey IQ, you can tell, where it's like taking the temperature of the game. Kampf, Holmberg, those guys are nice players, but they don't do that sort of thing. By the way,
Holmberg,
we
to
didn't
me-
mention Kampf just dangle on a breakaway last night.
Got the belt.
Did he?
He did.
By then, come on.
It's a great move.
Oh, it's a great move. I hope it builds his confidence, but I don't think anyone expects that to ever happen in a real game.
Wild to be Tavares and Willian have 4 points, and they're like,
I don't,
Kampf, one goal.
I don't know if you'll remember,
But-
but in the first round of the playoffs a couple of
I
years,
think
he had
he
a
can make
breakaway
plays.
shorty against.
I think he
You
can
remember that.
Yes.
I told you when he came back, this guy's capable of holding onto the puck and doing a few
Yes.
things here and there. So Holmberg's the type of guy for me that should just drive the net a lot harder and
Holmberg's a good candidate to fall in a 10 for sure.
occasionally bump a goaltender.
I actually think we've under-discussed him being a great diver. Like one of the league's better penalty drawing forwards. He's drawn over 20 penalties this year.
Does he lead
which
the
is
team?
a huge number.
Oh, he's gotta.
We'll figure that out quick. But yeah, he does deserve some credit for whoopsie. I got taken down. Shout out to him.
Good question.
Yeah, really good question. This one's from Old Man Bailey on X. With the power play success and the struggles of the power play in the past playoffs, will Berube stick with the 5 forwards? Ballsy going into the playoffs, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. There's no doubt about it. There's a number of stats on this, and I don't have them all with me, but they have the best power play in the NHL since January 15th. And Sam, I think you had one on the front page.
From Mike Kelly.
From Mike Kelly?
No, it's on the back. Since the NHL trade deadline, the Leafs' 5-forward power play has been the most productive in the entire NHL, with 8 goals in just under 19 minutes of ice time and a goals per 20 of 8.5.
There you go. So, yes, they're going to stick with it.
I think the reason why they've stuck with it, and they will continue to stick with it too, is because Marner's the last guy back.
Yes.
And this guy
capable
can defend.
Yes.
How many times have we seen him back there break something up or time it or get a stick on it or block something? He is really, I don't know if he gets the credit he deserves for a guy who's very conscientious. Every time he's on the ice, he can still come close to 100 points, and maybe he gets 100 points finally this year. But this guy is always the high guy. He's always the guy back. He's always the guy defending in some way, shape, or form.
I actually did a dive into Marner's defensive stats, and, he's a very particular type of defender. He is, for 2 years running, first in the NHL in broken up passes as a forward, among forwards. So he's 215th in puck battles won. So he doesn't win puck battles. He doesn't block shots. He doesn't do these the heavy things, but his reading the play and anticipating and seeing plays develop, he does better than anyone.
If I coached
a
whole season for the Leafs, I would have had him play defense 5 times a year.
Do you remember there was a minute there where there was a thing?
They should have again.
Yeah.
Because
their top right shot D-man?
Can you imagine, though, if he was a defenseman that could jump up on
well,
plays?
No one would have ever believed it to be even a halfway good idea till Quinn Hughes, till Lane Hudson, till these guys where you're like, you can defend that.
He could have been a guy like that.
For sure.
For sure. I think he's better as forward. This one's from Parker on Twitter. How bad would the reaction be if the Leafs actually lost to the Sens in the first round?
Really?
That's a sad
really
question.
Bad. Really bad.
This is my nightmare.
Yeah, this is you can answer this better than anybody.
So, okay,
I've got an article on this out right now, by the way.
Let me ask you this.
If they lose to Ottawa?
No, on the 3 different opponents they could face, Florida, Tampa, Ottawa, their odds, their likelihood, and why Sam is afraid of Ottawa is included in the article.
So you have odds on winning or losing each
not odds
series?
I have the likelihood that they play them, and then I give just my opinion on how it looks.
But, so you don't think it makes any difference who they lose to, in your opinion?
Correct.
Okay.
Because
if they lose to Florida or Tampa or Ottawa, it's the same thing.
They're all major disappointments.
You mean that in terms of what they would do to the roster?
I just mean
it matters.
about the heartache.
Okay.
The heartache. There's no losing in the first round that will make you feel better than Ottawa.
I can sleep at night if they lose to Florida in the first round.
Everyone would lose to Florida in the first round. You can go, they just won the Cup. They're the best team.
I can sleep at night if they lose to Tampa in the first round.
They're supposed to lose now. It's over. They're tired. They're not as good as they were last year.
But people will go, they're
Ekblad's not there for the first 2 games. I'm sorry.
Whether you think that or not, people don't.
Kachuk's hurt.
That is not consensus.
He's got a torn groin. Some suggest that he has surgery now.
You know who else is hurt? Kachuk on Ottawa, the other one. That guy's not been 100%. Losing to them, be like, at least you go, Sam Bennett got us. You don't want to be like, Ridley Gregg again. You'd
rather be stabbed or shot. Come on. You're dying. You're still dead.
100%. But there are definitely different ways to go. And if you ask me which one I want, I can tell you I have a preference.
I can't.
You're taking the quick bullet, aren't you?
Buddy, put her to my temple night.
Yeah, Sam Bennett. Bang. I just can't. It would be the worst thing. Anyways, we can move on from that.
That was dark. Sorry.
But we get a lot of death talk lately, eh? Heart attacks, and stabbing, and shootings.
We're getting old.
What else we got? Trying to see here. Where do you think, this is from Dan on X, where do you think Pacioretty slots in when he's healthy in the playoffs? We talked a little bit about this in the first block. I poo-pooed it because I don't think he's going to be back. But if he is, and he finished off his tweet by saying, go Knights. So lucky for him, I actually even read this. But where do you think he slots in? Third line?
given how well McMahon has looked on the second line, really hard to see him there. So it has to be third line. There's no chance he's playing with Matthews.
Yeah, I'll stick with that too.
Okay.
So, yeah, you get him alongside a couple of grunts and Lawton and
again,
Holmberg, as you said.
I didn't see his physical presence early in the season. And
Pacioretty.
Yes. And I was the first one to say, man, there's no way you're going to keep that up for 60 or 80 games. And lo and behold, that's true. But it doesn't matter now. You just need
him at the right time.
2 weeks of it.
Well, hopefully more.
Well,
but
good 2 weeks.
Start with 2 weeks.
Get us somewhere.
Yeah. What's interesting is if he does come back, and let's say a third line like that gets constructed, all of a sudden he gets. What do you do with Domi? Like, can he play on the fourth line? Does he want to play on the fourth line? No.
He's the Swiss Army knife. He should go anywhere he needs.
To follow up earlier conversation, Pontus Holmberg is 12th in the NHL in penalties drawn with 24.
That's pretty good.
This is a late arriving one, and I'm going to butcher this name, but I got a DM, and it's a great question. Last name Wolicki. We'll go with that. I'm overseas. Listen online. Love the show. Mailbag question. Who is the current Leaf that is most likely to become a successful NHL coach?
That's funny because that's actually a television question.
Oh, I can answer that in 2 seconds.
Who you got?
Chris Tanev.
That was my answer, too.
You know why I disagree?
Because he's going to management?
He's made too much money.
They all have. I got news for you. We'll never have an ex-player
everyone in the Leafs
again.
has, for sure.
We'll never have ex-players behind benches or general managers again.
Yeah, you look at a lot of these guys, and it's like...
He's got a mind. He's got a mind for the room. He's got a mind for whatever's kind of needed. He, to me, in many ways, he's very much the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's interesting. I'm going to be bringing to air tonight Luke Shen. Someone who hasn't made $1 zillion, who's a leader that people respect and love, who seems to love hockey and wants to be a part of it. I think he's got the cachet to do it.
We had multiple tweets about Sam Bennett, but I'll just read this one for you. This is from D. Mel on X. Sam Bennett, that is all. Gives you flexibility when you re-sign Tavares and shift him to the wing or more sheltered role as 3C. Suddenly you have 34, 91, Bennett, Domi, and Lawton, who could all play center. Mitch Marner is gone. That has to be the plan.
Let me get out ahead of this year in advance. I am nervous about a long-term deal for Sam Bennett.
Agree.
I don't think of him as a fast guy. He is not a high offensive output guy. I don't know that into his 30s it's going to age particularly well.
Yeah, I think he's safe for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah?
Yep, I do.
I love the guy.
The only thing I worry about is him getting hurt. He plays too hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Which
only
is another
thing.
age thing that's...
Speed's not his forte anyways, but he just goes through you.
Yeah, well, he can. He definitely does.
And he could break down. That's always the possibility. But him losing his piss and vinegar in the next few years, I do not see it.
No, I don't think so
This
either.
guy's as competitive as anybody in the league.
He'll be, when they win the cup in late June, he'll turn 29.
$8 million is more money in his pocket in Florida than $10 million here.
There is no question that this gets played out and July, whatever he's eligible, 8 times 8.
Oh, I think we could hear it before the playoffs.
You think?
Yep. I think Sam Bennett could sign before the playoffs start.
By the way, if you haven't seen his profile picture, his NHL.com headshot, it's the meanest anyone's ever looked at a picture. He is terrifying in this photo. Check it out.
Great.
All right.
That was McKee's midweek mailbag.
Sam could look mean if he just didn't smile so much.
How much time do we have, Derek?
He needs some Sons of Anarchy gear. He'd be a biker.
With fighting seeming to be more appreciated in hockey right now, how many Sammys would it take to beat a prime Kyper in a fight? 5.
8.
2 ain't enough is all I'm saying.
All right. We're going to take a quick break, catch our breath. When we return, we go national. Plenty to dive into. Ken Wiebe will join us as well.
Jets talk.
Jets talk on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. Don't go away. Welcome back in. Real Kyper and Bourne. It's the National Hour. We are live on Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver and Sportsnet 960 in Calgary. This hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Nick Kypreos, Justin Bourne, Sammy McKee. In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Ken Wiebe, Jets writer for the Winnipeg Free Press, co-host of the Kenny and Rennie Show. Alexander Ovechkin scores goal number 889 last night against the Winnipeg Jets. But those Jets get the last laugh with a big win to clinch a playoff spot.
Had to give Ovi that one more, hey?
It was
vintage one too.
It was fun to watch, of course, with our Leaf Hour edition kicking off our show. A lot of focus on the Leafs and the Flyers last night, but I switch it over and it's like another level kind of intensity and speed.
Well, what they played
it's not even close.
Was a good hockey game. And what we watched was
a glorified exhibition game.
Yeah.
Bit of a different sport situation. Those two teams playing against the Leafs playing against an AHL team.
In the West, top in the East.
But could have easily been a sample of a Stanley Cup final.
Which is crazy. I think going into the year, it would have been a stretch to consider Washington, Winnipeg as the two best teams in each conference. So pretty cool what they've done. Obviously, Hellebuck's been wonderful, but really a team, the Jets, like a cohesive team top to bottom.
Another huge win for the Flames. And you're on the broadcast tonight?
I am on the broadcast.
Yeah, Vancouver with a huge game against the Islanders tonight. Like this race, Blues win again. They start the season. Habs. It's really, really getting good here.
There we go.
But
Naz Kadri.
Oh my!
What a player!
I adore the guy.
And I'm watching him again late. What was Kyle Dubas thinking?
Why do we have?
It is one of the all-time.
How could you trade this guy as a Leaf, Sammy, and bring back Kerfoot and Tyson Barrie? Like, where in your world would you? What a finish on the
both were beautiful goals.
Oh no, but the breakaways like off the charts.
Oh, we got a video. Look at this guy. And see, I mean,
backhand,
the core's not even close.
And then the shuffle. How about this? How about the celebration shuffle?
I got to tell you, I've been watching Kadri play for a long time. That's signature. He loves that. Kind of hover over top of the puck, back for it, and then cut it to the forehand. Did that same move in the World Juniors against Marty Brodeur early in his career.
It's impossible to leave the building feeling like you didn't get your money's worth.
It is crazy, though. You know, I don't know how much of an offensive step he took after leaving the Leafs, which is uncommon, I think, at the age he would have been. But his highest output season as a Leaf is 61 points. He had 87 with the Avs and then 75 last year. He has become a more offensively dynamic.
30 plus by the time the season's over.
Yeah, he had 29 last year, 28 this year. So, you know.
Like, I've said it a million times. The national audience, maybe they want to hear this, but like, he should have been a Leaf for life. It breaks my heart every day that he's not. So
yeah, and it's so funny looking at their roster and being like, what could they use?
But him.
Yeah.
Exactly him.
That's right.
It's not like Colorado's had a lot of success finding a guy to replace him since he won a Stanley Cup there either. They've been searching for the last few years.
Yeah, for them it was just money, right? They just like couldn't do it, which now they probably are kicking themselves.
They kind of I'd be careful on couldn't and didn't want to. Didn't want to because there's always a way, even if it means getting rid of somebody else.
Yeah. What did he sign for? Is it
7 by 7?
7.5, maybe. No, 7. Take a look quick.
Yeah.
But I right now it's a bargain.
Certainly is. He is making 7.
Yeah.
With the cap going up, that's gonna this look better.
Age very well. Vancouver also. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's funny watching the Leafs. The perfect fit for them is Kadri. That would have been really nice. Watching Vancouver lately, God, could they use Bo Horvat? You know, a centerman who's just kind of down the lineup. Right now, they got Pius Suter playing 2C, 1C.
Who you give credit to? Who's had a really great.
He's been awesome.
Yeah,
he's been really awesome. But probably not a 1C.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, as promised, Ken Wiebe joins us now. Winnipeg Free Press, co-host of the Kenny and Rennie Show. That was quite a show we had last night, Ken. Thanks for joining us, man. But I just told the boys moments ago. Did we see a preview of maybe a Stanley Cup final?
I think it's certainly possible, Kyper. I mean, two really good teams. I know there's this narrative out there that nobody's really afraid of either the Jets or the Capitals around the league, but I mean, that was playoff hockey yesterday. I mean, hard hitting and not a lot of scoring chances to be had on either side, but the chances that were had were of high quality. So also too, the Caps are a underratedly big team, a big physical team that can score and defend. So, and the Jets obviously have a lot of the same characteristics. So, I think most people, I mean, and Scott O'Neill went flat out said it, he'd love a rematch with these guys. And Spencer Carberry, I think, feels the exact same way. These are two teams that are 1 and 2 for a reason. And I think they are built for playoff success. But I mean, obviously knowing how things went the last two springs here in Winnipeg, the Jets obviously have to go out and prove that they have another gear when that postseason starts.
Ken, first thing I wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. I heard yesterday was your birthday, right?
Yeah.
Did you guys get him anything?
50. Nice round number 2. That's awesome. What did you do for your birthday?
I was covering the game. Naturally. But,
you were given a great game as a gift.
I was given a great game as a gift, and we always talk about good teammates. Elliot Friedman landed at 11:20, and he met me after our podcast ended. So that's how big a team player that Friedge is, guys, as you already know.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's great. You guys had a good night of it. Could you give us maybe a overview of where the Jets are this season compared to last season as they head into the playoffs with high hopes?
Yeah, Barney, there's obviously still some scar tissue there, but I think the commitment level to the defensive zone structure is what sort of is separating. I mean, last year was sort of year 1+ of the commitment on the defensive side. I mean, we saw it under Rick Bowness in year 1, and then they kind of abandoned it down the stretch and in the playoffs. This year, their ability to defend, but also, they've scored more goals this year. Their special teams are obviously better. I mean, obviously, number 1 power play in the league, humming around at 30% for most of the year has been pretty impressive. Penalty kill a bit up and down at times, but Dean Chenoth has done a really good job there. And also you guys would know that when Dylan Samberg has been in the lineup for the Winnipeg Jets, the numbers on the PK have been dramatically different. So, and they were a top 5 and 10 team before Samberg blocked that initial shot and had the broken foot on the Stammer slap shot. So they're trending in the right way on special teams. And it's not just a one-line hockey team. It's a team that has a lot of depth. Obviously, Gabe Vilardi going out after Game 71 is a loss for the Jets. But I would say that, again, there's nothing confirmed by the Jets. But I would be surprised if he's not back for the playoffs here. He's had such a great year. We know that he's had back issues before. And you guys saw it, the way that he got kind of dumped in front by Alex Tuch. He did land pretty flat on his back. So I don't think it would be a stretch to think that it's a back injury that is bothering him. He was also hit by Samuelson along the board, so there could be some minor shoulder stuff there. But overall, that top line with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor has been elite. 2 of the top 6 goal scorers in the NHL. Vilardi has been outstanding, but this is not just a one-line hockey team. And you guys saw yesterday the highlight reel finish for Ehlers. Nikolai Ehlers has been a driving force, and as a pending UFA, Kyper. A pretty good time to be producing the way that he has at almost a point a game rate, knowing that he's probably going to hit the market here on July 1st.
Yeah, it's going to be a real interesting storyline in terms of where Winnipeg feels they can go on this guy to extend it or where the cutoff point is. But so exciting to see him shoot it in the net and watch the building explode like that. You touched a little bit on 2 teams last night that maybe we didn't really expect to see where they are. At this point, the vibe amongst the players, Ken, that at least you can speak of or feel, is it that we're going in and we're still not getting the respect that we deserve? Will there be a feel of playing in the playoffs like with a chip on their shoulder, or will it be one where like we can't choke this time? We got to be able to take it to a conference final or a Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, Kyper, I would say this. Having covered the team for, this is the 14th season they've been back, covering the team all 14 of those years. I understand the core is the same, and people will naturally say, well, what's going to be different? The bulk of the core is the same, but I would say being around the room, it definitely feels different. Obviously, you heard the players and the emotion, and Josh Morrissey speaking out about how, they don't want to feel that way again and have such a great regular season and then be done in 4 games after winning in 5 games after winning the opener in the last 2 springs. So the whole mantra about getting 10% better, I don't think that was something that, I don't think a lot of bumper stickers were printed at exit meetings last year, but the Jets have gone out and improved, individually and collectively to that point. I don't think they're going to be haunted by ghosts of playoffs past, but to me, it reminds me similarly of the Tampa run after the disappointing upset against Columbus, and also to having covered the 2022 run by the Colorado Avalanche. There's some similar vibes in terms of, a team that hadn't been over to get over the hump before, that has learned from those past heartaches, that wants to apply a lot of those lessons this time around. Now, having said all that, guys, what we know is that the Central Division currently houses 3 of the top, let's say 5 or 6 teams in the NHL,
right?
And also houses the hottest team in the NHL with the St. Louis Blues, who don't look now. They may not just get the second wild card; they may pass the Minnesota Wild for the first wild card in the Western Conference. So, a lot of things could go right, and now you're staring at a Colorado Avalanche or Dallas Stars team in the second round, much like in 2018, guys, when the top 2 teams in the NHL went head to head in the second round with the Jets and Predators going the 7 games. So, anyways, the original question about the mentality, I don't think they will be, blocked mentally by a lot of the struggles. And hey, everybody knows it. A lot of those guys know that they've only won 1 series since 2018, Kyper.
Yep.
I don't think that that's weighing them down. I mean, if it had been weighing them down, they wouldn't be where they are today. And I think that Scott Arniel has done a really good job of keeping this group kind of on task, just because, he wouldn't let them get too far ahead of themselves. And, they weren't riding the highs when it was, 8-0 to start, 7-game winning streak after the loss, 11-game winning streak later on. They've sort of been watch the tape, flush it, no matter if they've won or lost. And they haven't really had too many long stretches of struggle. And at the same time, they haven't let a lot of bad habits creep into their game. So I do think that they're ready, but hey, it's a show me time for the Winnipeg Jets. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, 102 points with 10 games to go in a very good spot. So you talked about 10% better. So at the deadline, they go out and get Brandon Tanev and Luke Schenn. How have those 2 new additions fit into things there?
Yeah, guys, I think we saw it perfectly last night. I mean, the game February 1st in DC was a fantastic game, but the Jets had no answer for Tom Wilson. And Tom was still very effective in the game last night, but Luke Schenn definitely let him know that he was there.
He was awesome.
Right? So, and Luke Schenn has been a physical force. And Kyper, this, one of the stats that kind of bothers us is the people that say hits are a bad stat because it means you don't have the puck. Well, yeah, that's true to a degree, but if you're scared of being hit by someone like Luke Schenn, you're soon going to have the puck. So he's been a physical force. And again, the Jets would prefer to have Neil Pionk in the lineup, but since he's been out, it's been twofold, guys. Not only has Schenn been able to play a little bit with Josh Morrissey, sort of, mirroring the pair when he was with the Leafs with Morgan Riley when he had those minutes, but he's also had a chance to play with Dylan Sandberg, and those 2 guys have meshed really well together as well. And Brandon Tanev, you guys know this, and that's probably one of the reasons that we thought the Leafs might be kicking around the tires on Brandon Tanev also. Absolute whirling dervish out there, involved physically. You see him, he's going to get a shorthanded goal at some point in a playoff game that matters. He blocks shots and gets up like he's Gumby. Just a kind of a high energy type of guy. And yeah, I mean, I covered Chris when he broke in as a pro, guys. I mean, with the Manitoba Moose coming out of college, I mean, these guys are wired for hockey. They love the game. And it just has brought a little bit of a, more physical element to a team that, plays with size. But, Adam Lowry is the most physical player on the Winnipeg Jets. And having guys like Luke Schenn around to help with some of the self-policing has helped. But he's also playing big minutes. I mean, this is not just a third pairing guy. This is someone that can give you, 17 to 21 minutes a game. He's been great both guys great on the penalty kill, and they've got experience, right? Luke is a multiple Stanley Cup winner. Brandon Tanev was there in 2018 when the Jets went to the conference final. He was there when the Kraken upset the defending champion Avalanche. So these guys bring a little bit. It's another one of those examples of the underrated deals not involving the star player have turned out. They filled 2 voids that the Jets needed to fill. And we also know too, Tanev's the kind of guy that, yes, 4th line player now, but he's got chemistry with Adam Lowry if you need to bump him up into that role. And another big development for the Jets guys, Nino Niederreiter has got himself back on track here. He had a little bit of a quiet patch, but now points in 3 games, and he snapped a 15-game goalless drought the other day. Mason Appleton, first goal in 12 last night. So, we talked a lot this year about the Lowry line being one of the best lines in hockey. And yes, they shuffled things around because of the matchup to get Ehlers with Lowry, but it was important to get Niederreiter going as well for this group.
You're watching and listening to Ken Wiebe, who covers the Winnipeg Jets for the Winnipeg Free Press, also co-host of the Ken and Rennie Show. Ken, last night we watched a soon-to-be 40-year-old Ovechkin shoot it in the net like he was in the prime of his career against a world-class goalie. What did you see last night, and how quickly can he get to Gretzky's record with that release still?
It's pretty wild, guys, right? My cohort, Sean Reynolds, has been triggered. He's heading on the road to Minnesota to be on Ovi watch. So we know it could happen at any time now.
We have a daily patrol with Ovi now?
Yes, indeed. It will be happening.
Do you have to follow him to the bathroom? And
I don't
is
think
it that sort of thing?
Let's hope not. But yeah, I mean, I covered the game and watched him too. I mean, Ovechkin got the tying goal that sent the game into overtime both times. Sort of interesting, guys, right? There's some nights where Ovi's a little bit quiet and on the perimeter, but all of a sudden he finds quiet ice. And when the puck is on his stick, it takes him just one chance. I mean, he had a great chance late in the second period, almost had a buzzer beater. And then in the third, great play by Protest to get him the puck, but I mean, it was vintage. It was vintage Ovechkin. No, it wasn't a one-time clap city, but from the middle of the dot, perfect shot. And it's so funny, right? Nikolai Ehlers talked at the morning skate about, Ovechkin always seems to score these milestone goals against the Jets, but yeah, it's been impressive to watch. And, just the building literally shook at the game on February 1st in DC. And honestly, the building shook yesterday too, because people get the sense they know how close he is on history here. Again, I get it. He may not get it this year, but I'm going to say that he's going to do it this year. Seems like he's able to rise to the occasion, and I think that he's going to get it done before the playoffs. And just lastly, too, guys, I mean, or maybe not lastly, but Spencer Carberry. I mean, you guys know him from being around him. Man, what a great guy to speak with. I mean, he and Scott Arniel, to me, have to be Jack Adams finalists. Yes, we know what Dean Evison has done in Columbus under incredibly tragic circumstances, and Ryan Huska has done a great job keeping the flames around the playoff line. But man, Arniel and Carberry doing just a spectacular job, and guys too. I mean, how familiar I am with Pierre-Luc Dubois' path, and I've saw his best hockey, and Spencer Carberry is now pulling the best hockey out of Pierre-Luc Dubois, and it's an impressive thing that he's happening. He didn't want to take any credit yesterday when I asked him about it, but he gave Pierre-Luc Dubois increased responsibility, and he has responded the way he needed to after pretty much a disastrous season with the LA Kings.
Yeah, Carberry's done great things. Arniel as well. Actually, I think Arniel is maybe the most under-discussed Jack Adams nominee, considering how great that team is there. Worthy to bring to attention. So I follow a bunch of Winnipeg Jets fans on Twitter, and like today, the Leafs won 7-2 last night. We came in, we're like, the third line wasn't very good. We're a little hard on the Leafs, like that's just kind of what we do. Jets are having an unbelievable season. Every time I open my Twitter feed, someone's being mean to Logan Stanley. Someone's being mean to this guy every day who, a part of the success of the Jets this year. Why is that on my Twitter feed every day? What is it about Logan Stanley? Every team has a player like this.
Yeah, it's been honestly, it's been kind of I'm not even sure what the word is, to be honest. It's concerning on a lot of fronts, Borny, but Logan Stanley's had a tough year. There's no doubt about that. And, there's always people that root for certain prospects, and they stack them against one another. You guys have seen it plenty of times in Toronto. The Free Ville Heinola crowd can't understand why the leash is so long, but I mean, this is very simple. The Jets defense core lacks size and, to a degree, some level of toughness before Luke Schenn got there. So Logan Stanley was given more opportunity than many other players. That is a fact. But it's also not uncommon for first rounders that a team trades up for to get excessive opportunity. And, Logan hasn't always taken the ball and run with it. That's a fact. But, quite frankly, his game yesterday was quite effective, and the game before he had 2 assists in the loss against Buffalo. So he needs more games like he had against the Capitals in order to be a candidate for the lineup once Neil Pionk comes back.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely, the online fervor around him has been a little overly dramatic for my personal taste.
Yeah.
But again, that's I'm not telling fans how to fan, but it's a hard league
Yeah.
to play in, and whether
Injuries
you're
too, right? With the
whether you're 6,
consistency.
7. Yeah, I mean, for sure, his career path has been impacted by injury, and when he did get some steady playing time, then he would get hurt, and even this year, I mean, hurt in training camp. Same with Heinola, and it's been, again, having seen the guy since he was drafted 18th overall the year that Laine joined the Jets. I mean, Logan has matured as a player and a person, but some people just assumed that because he was a similar size to Zdeno Chara, that he would automatically become Zdeno Chara. And this just in, Hall of Famers don't grow on trees. So it'll be interesting to see how things go. Logan obviously has another year in his deal, and how he plays down the stretch. We'll see how often he plays. He went a stretch of 9 games without playing. So he's definitely not a lock to be on the playoff roster. He's sort of battling for playing time with Colin Miller, with Hayden Fleury. And we'll sort of see how it plays out. But again, this is a person he's had a lot on his plate, and the game's hard enough with having to deal with the online scrutiny, though we understand it's part of playing in a Canadian market. Yes, sure. But I would say personally, having watched a lot of the discourse, that he's put up with a lot of crap that is probably been fairly unnecessary to deal with for a young man like him, and a guy just trying to do his job and be a good dad at home.
Mm-hmm.
Ken, I got to ask you, staying into the Western Conference between Calgary and Vancouver. Of course, Vancouver got a key game tonight against the Islanders. Some games in hand right now for Calgary. How do you see this thing playing out?
It's so interesting, Kyper. I mean, it's hard to get a real gauge because, Calgary's been a team where it looks like as soon as you're ready to count them out, they come up and rattle off 2 or 3 in a row. And, they're just such a hard working group under Ryan Huska. Nazem Kadri, you guys watched him very closely. I watched him closely in 2022 in the Western Conference Final and the final, play some of the best hockey he's ever played. And he's back to playing at that level again. And he's been a real driver for them. And, Dustin Wolf, speaking of underrated candidates, I don't think he's underrated anymore, but this is a guy that's battling for the Calder in a class that contains elite high-end players like Celebrini, like Hudson. So I wouldn't count them out, but I mean, right now it's just hard it's hard for me to bet against St. Louis, having, watched firsthand in 2019 and covered the first 2 rounds of the series that year. The first round against Winnipeg, obviously, that went 6, and covered all 7 against the Stars. Complete with the Patrick Maroon wraparounds, or the special, double OT winner for him in his hometown. So they still sort of feel like, Jordan Binnington has got that feeling back, and, Colton Parayko skating again, like that's only going to help their chances. But I think right now, in order for Calgary or Vancouver to make it, they might have to leapfrog the Minnesota Wild. And guys, the Minnesota Wild have done an exceptional job of treading water and staying above the line. Most teams would have been crippled by losing Kaprizov for as long as he's been out, and Brodin as long as he's been out. They keep battling through, but all of a sudden it's gotten a little bit tougher for the Wild. And again, I'm not saying they're vulnerable, but they've had to endure a lot. And yes, I understand the folks in Vancouver are saying, "Oh, hey, look over here at us. We've endured a lot also." But right now, I think in order for Calgary or Vancouver to make it, they may have to leapfrog the Wild in order to get that 8th seed.
Yeah, the Wild have a heck of a schedule coming up. They got the Capitals, the Devils, the Rangers, Islanders, the Stars. Like they've got real teams coming up. So you never know. That door could open up for them at some point. When looking at these Canadian teams, the path to the Cup, considering after last year, it felt like Edmonton was going to be involved, right? This team is going to be, I think they opened the season as the Cup favorite. How do you see them compared to where they were last year, what expectations were this season?
Yeah, Edmonton's such an interesting team, guys, right? We've been talking all year, what about the defense? What about the defense? Their depth isn't quite producing at the same level that it was. And, Leon's having this incredible year, MVP, Hart Trophy candidate type of season. McDavid's production's down a bit, but he's been dealing with injuries and everything else. It feels like this kind of almost forced sit out may help both of those guys down the stretch. Sounds like Draisaitl's close to being back, and McDavid, a little break probably helps him. Playing the back-to-back coming out of 4 Nations is probably a little bit too much for his plate, but he was the driving force behind that. I think the addition of Jake Wallman has been more impactful maybe than I thought, and that's with all due respect to Jake Wallman. the Oilers defense core just remains a little bit of a question mark going into the playoffs based on the teams they're going to have to beat. I don't see it being nearly as deep as Vegas's defense core. We know what they did down the middle. I mean, Henrique's season has been a little bit maybe down from what maybe we expected based on how he fit with the Oilers last year in the playoffs. But to me, the team in the Pacific to beat is probably the Vegas Golden Knights still. But again, underrate the Oilers at your own peril. Now, going 7 games in the Stanley Cup final is a benefit, but in a season that also included the 4 nations, could be a little taxing come playoff time, given the path they're going to have. And again, the LA Kings, let's not forget about them.
Right.
They're a team that, yes, the Oilers have had their number, but they've been a pretty interesting team to watch as well.
Ken, great stuff, man, especially covering the Western Conference. Really enjoyed it. How long's the birthday last?
Birthday
week? 2 weeks?
Well, I think we're gonna keep it to 1 week or less, but happy for every day that we have, Kyper, and always great to be with you guys, and should be a fun time of the year. And obviously too, I've been watching with Ernest what Brad Treliving's been doing, and I think the Leafs, it'll be an interesting time for them as well. Don't you guys think?
Interesting is the exact word. You nailed it.
Buddy, that's all we've got. The first hour is interesting. All right, Ken. Thanks again,
Great
pal.
to see you guys. Enjoy the stretch. Yep, talk to you later.
Ken Wiebe,
Sounds
one of the
good,
good
thanks.
ones out west. Winnipeg Free Press, and of course, co-host of the Kenny and Rennie show.
What'd you do for your 50th birthday? Last year. Whatever. Just they
A
don't
while ago.
I mean,
I was up in Muskoka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
you're gonna be getting close to the next one.
No. Are you?
Gotta be.
Where is this talk coming from right now? Well, like,
We've been
seriously.
opening up. We've been talking about passing
Life
away
and death.
I'm about 35 minutes from being home with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it.
Okay.
Antioxidants if you
I
drink
could quickly Google how old you are.
58.
Oh,
Excuse me.
58?
58.
Are you really?
I am. 58.
you look, I mean, not to blow
look
smoke.
great.
You look fantastic for 58.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Walk
You,
in here
Sammy,
every
keep
day,
me
fresh
young.
as a daisy.
Yeah. I look really good for 54 too.
Although every once in a while I get like the hair thing. Me and you get the hair thing, but Sammy doesn't get it because he wears a hat all the time.
What's
Oh,
that?
People like that we still have hair.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm hanging in. I don't know how much time. I got the Scott Lawton shape
you got
right
cut
now.
today, right?
Oh, yeah, I got the cut, but you got to grow it long
No.
here so it dangles over the awnings.
Oh, looking good, my friend.
It's getting dicey over here.
Awnings is covering a grim patio.
Buddy, hang in there.
I'm doing my best.
Hang in
I don't know
there.
how to fight it. It just is what it is.
Do you think the Jets are going to go to the final?
Do I think the
Yeah.
Jets are going to go to the final? Why would you make us answer
I'm
that right
asking
after
a question.
having a
Jets
great
talk.
Jets guy?
We're doing Jets talk. We're 30 minutes of Jets talk.
Dallas and Colorado,
I
Vegas and Edmonton.
okay.
There's good teams in the West.
Colorado,
Great teams
since
in
the
West.
trade deadline, they've
Come up.
come up
Big
Mm-hmm.
time.
for me.
Yeah.
And the one thing in Dallas is, okay, Renton is not producing, guys.
Mhm.
He's just not, he didn't produce in Carolina, and he's not producing right now. And do we think he's no good? Of course not.
Yeah.
And he can be one of those guys that can step up in the playoffs for sure and be the guy that everybody knows and expects. But no Miro to start Heiskanen to start the blue line. And then,
the
like,
Avies,
are
eh?
you sure about Jake Ottinger right now?
No.
No, I'm not.
And that's,
We had Valiant yesterday who says he's a foot too wide.
I know. So that's a huge concern for me in Dallas. Me, I see Winnipeg or Vegas.
Winnipeg, for the record, I have them in that group,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like, you got 6 elite teams. Do you think they're going to make it through? It's like, I think they're one of the teams who can.
I think the first round and winning that division and having whoever they get in the
Yes.
first round.
Right.
is
Bring
a
me the carcass of the Flames.
it's a
No disrespect, Calgary, but the Jets would
massive-
probably eat them alive.
It's a massive advantage to let the Colorado Avalanche and Dallas Stars, hammer away on each other. Like, that's going to be an absolute
yeah, you'd like
battle.
to see a number 29 coming limping in
Yes.
the next series if you're playing Colorado.
And the Rantanen thing, like you talk about, he was producing in Colorado. He was really good there before he got traded. He gets traded there, never wanted to go there, that whole thing. Goes through new place, just signed a new contract, new teammates. I got prediction time. The second the playoffs start, he's going to be an absolute freak, and he's going to be really good. So I could picture them beating the Avalanche, but I got to tell you, I've watched a lot of Jets this year. I like watching the Jets. I don't love their fans, I'll say that, but they're really hard on the Leafs. That's why I think they are going to go.
I'm curious to see what happens with the Ehlers, because Ehlers is a star for me. The guy plays 16 minutes a night, and he's a point-per-game guy.
They got, like, you talk about the third lines, how the top two lines often cancel each other out, and then the third line's so important. You look at that
Their third line's so good.
Best third line in the league. Like, they're just heavy, mean.
Nino
they got everything. So I actually think they might do it.
All right.
Little game time before we go to break.
Jets talk.
Oh, boy.
You can't get any more Jets talk than what we just gave them.
30 straight, buddy. No commercial break.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary. Visit the app for the latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. Big one tonight on the network. My good friend Justin Bourne will be on. Who are you on with tonight?
We got David Amber, Luke Gazdick, and Sam Cosentino.
Love it. The Vancouver Canucks are minus 105 favorites in the island, taking on the New York Islanders, who are coming off of a bitterly disappointing loss to the Columbus Blue Jackets with that goaltender interference call. They are minus 115 on the money line, the Vancouver Canucks. I really have loved watching Quinn Hughes, and I'm going to watch Quinn Hughes again tonight. I love Eastern Standard Time. Quinn Hughes is my favorite player in the league when he plays in this.
When he plays
yes.
ET.
Yeah. I was just
down the gut tonight. The Canucks are rolling out Suter, Bluger, Ratti, Aman.
This is a shot for me, but Quinn Hughes has been so good, and he's been pulling them through here. Give me a Quinn Hughes 3-point game at plus 700 tonight against the Vancouver.
You think they're
going to
score 3 times on Ilya Sorokin?
I do. I think that Quinn Hughes is going to be out of this world. And listen, it's a long shot, but he's been so good. So give me a Quinn Hughes 3-point game tonight, plus 700. Other action on the ice, top one in Edmonton tonight. We were all excited about that matchup. It's the Stars and the Edmonton Oilers, but this, neither Draisaitl or McDavid. He's really fired up to watch Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, like he said yesterday. So plus 120, the Edmonton Oilers on the money line, minus 140 for Dallas Stars. And the Boston Bruins, who you tweeted out their lineup today.
Yeah, how would you like my commentary on it?
Holy boy. They are, if I had told you this, underdogs to the Anaheim Ducks. If I had told you that in September, you probably wouldn't have believed me. Plus 115 on the money line for the Boston Bruins tonight, taking on the Anaheim Ducks.
I looked at the Bruins lineup, but I didn't know I was looking at the Bruins lineup, and it took me a while to figure out what team it was.
Yes.
I was like, okay, Kuzna did, I don't know how to say his name. His Middlestat, and it was Lysell and Kepke and Letary, and I was like, what team is this?
I have not.
It's the Bruins.
I couldn't tell you one Middlestat Bruins moment. I haven't watched them for a second since they made all those trades. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Kuznetsov?
So we just mentioned, this is a random question that just came to my ADD brain, but I listen to a podcast called Bill Simmons, and they often do like a league pass ranking.
Heard of him.
Where they like talk about their favorite non-local teams to watch. Who is your favorite non-Toronto team to watch?
Exceptional question.
Thank you.
Love that. I'm going to quickly pull up the standings so I can trigger my brain. Well, the Avs. The Avs are them.
Number one?
Well, Edmonton and Colorado, I think, are absolute electric.
Florida.
Oh,
I just love the way they just like run everybody over. and Barkov, one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's stats or anything on him or shootouts or something. He's got some of the sickest moves. Like, I know Kucherov's Kucherov, but this guy's not that far off.
They're subtle.
From absolutely embarrassing goalies.
Yeah.
And he's not a big goal scorer.
I will say that Vancouver was on that list until this year. This year, I
still put him on there because I love watching Quinn.
Yeah. That's...
you know that Barkov, that contract? He has until the year 2031 at $10 million.
That'd be nice.
That is such a good contract. God.
You'd be able to renegotiate like in the NFL.
Yeah.
Be like, that's not right.
They're not allowed.
No.
They used to be able to.
But you should be able to renegotiate down as well. It's like, we can't trade you, you make too much. All right.
Gretzky and Lemieux had like something written down where if someone made $1 more than them, they could renegotiate.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, renegotiating, it's like if both parties have a contract that they would both like to move on from, it feels like you should be able to do that. And you can in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Just to give some credit to my Sharkies, I like watching the Sharks once in a while.
You know, that's such a... People say that. No one likes to watch.
When they're on the Eastern Seaboard, I'll watch them.
Yeah.
I like watching Celebrini. Celebrini's been unbelievable.
I will say this, though, because we covered the Leafs, we saw the Sharks come in, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
They played their hearts out.
Yeah.
Okay? You watched Philly last night?
Did not.
Embarrassing.
Did not.
Just embarrassing.
And they got a lot of local guys on that team, too, so you thought they might come in with that.
Let's play the Torts quote again in the National Hour,
right.
shall we?
We'll go to break.
Okay.
Anyways, this is a random question.
We'll go to break. We got plenty more. We'll revisit Tortorella and his comments after last night's game, which we didn't like, which may have a tie-in to the Vancouver Canucks. We'll explain that after the break. Also, an ex-Bruin, an ex-Rat Bruin, possibly making his debut for the Florida Panthers. We'll get into that as well. Plenty more when we return to Real Kyper and Bourne. Welcome back to the Real Kyper and Bourne show. Brad Marchand nearing his debut with the Florida Panthers. Are thinking Friday against Utah.
There's that picture online today that probably makes Canucks fans sick to their stomach. It's Marchand in a Panthers jersey with Luongo in a Panthers jersey. Two best buddies you ever did see.
Did you notice those are obviously custom pads for him. Did you notice that they have a C on them? Like
they had a C on them?
They had the C at the top, yeah. Remember when they made Luongo the captain?
I sure do.
That was a wild move.
Was he the last captain in the NHL?
Goalie, yeah, I believe so. I can't remember anyone since. Was Di Pietro?
No.
What a move that was.
He went really high with you.
That was my question.
Inquisitive?
Was that Di Pietro?
I don't know. I mean, you can be a leader in the room as a goalie for sure, but it's just weird.
I never played with a single goalie who stood up at intermission and said, "Hey, on the breakouts, here's what we need. Bang, bang." This is.
I don't think he was that guy though, and I don't think that in that role
they don't
that
have
was
a captain.
Expected.
Don't have a captain. Don't you
I
need the captain to stand up sometimes and be like, "Hey."
Yeah, it's kind of goofy, maybe gimmicky, but he was still a leader. He was one of 4 voices for sure with the Sedins.
He was an awesome.
Our buddy Kevin Bieksa, and he was there. He's in every meeting. He knows what's going on in the room.
Mm-hmm. Did you have verbally active goaltenders at all, like guys that talked, or do you have guys that didn't want to communicate at all?
Sean Burke, I played a year in Hartford with, and he
talk?
Yeah, he would talk. Yeah.
I played mostly with guys who, complete shell, don't talk to them, don't look at them once their stuff is on.
They're playing
headphones.
They're playing a different sport.
They're on the team, but they're not doing the same thing.
Sport. They're just doing something totally different than everybody else. But to the Marchand thing, this was something that it's like you're paying a credit card bill or you're going to the doctor. You're like, pretend that you don't have to do that. Pretend it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of forgot. I was like, that's not going to happen. He's hurt. It's going to be a while. It's not going to happen yet. And then it's like, he's playing. Oh my God, he's going to be in the lineup against the Leafs next week.
Sure is.
Well, I can tell you of 2 goalies for sure that will never be captain of their team. And that is the Philadelphia Flyer goalies last night.
Dollar, if you remember his name.
Eriksson.
Samuel Eriksson.
No, I'm not going to give you
Eriksson.
that. You weren't sure enough.
Samuel Eriksson.
Eriksson.
Yeah.
Was he in for all the goals last night?
Yeah.
Okay. Get him out. No?
I don't know that the coach was overly invested last night, and I think we're about to have that conversation.
We are, because we did touch on this in our first our hour of the show, but we'll kind of revisit it. And this is John Tortorella's comments after a very tough loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs, where, if I'm not mistaken, hinted where his future lies as the head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Let's have a listen.
It's my job to prepare this team in this type of situation. Haven't done a good enough job past couple of games.
These last 2 games, are you sensing frustration setting in, maybe as a cumulative effect from last week playing well and not getting results?
Well, when you're in this type of situation and you're losing all the time and there's nothing at the end of the tunnel for you, there's certainly going to be some frustration. But this falls on me. I'm not really interested in learning how to coach this type of season where we're at right now. But I have to do a better job. So this falls on me, getting the team prepared to play the proper way until we get to the end.
I'm okay with the accountability that it's my job, blah, blah, blah.
But I hate my job.
I hate my job. I'm not interested in your type of loserness.
I mean, the fact is
that's what I got
I'm
out of
not
it.
interested in learning how to coach.
I'm not really interested in learning how to coach
whatever
this
it is
type-
all of you were
this-
doing
this
here
type
with
of
this
season.
rebuild.
But
this is not, I am above this.
Torts, I'm okay if you had just played game 82.
Yeah.
Okay? You're honest. This is where I'm at. I'm not interested in
Being a part of a rebuild.
putting the time and effort into getting this to another level.
Yeah.
That should go to younger people, more exciting people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. Somebody that wants to. Clearly, I don't. But where is
You got to go in the room the next day.
where's the next 10, 11 games for these guys to look at Tortorella and going, hey, I'm not interested in what you think you're interested in right now. How about that?
It's
How
like-
about we're just not interested in each other
Yeah. Well,
from here on end?
I think the
10
worst
games to go.
the role of Torts right now as the team sold and has become a rebuild team is developing the younger players to become something. And you watch that game last night, they go down. He never even thinks about pulling Harrison. He's like, you learn. You get in there and figure it out. They're down 6-1, 5-1, pulls the goalie. He just sits back and says, you guys just catch your breath. And he didn't say a word to anyone.
Oh, take a timeout.
Yeah, he took the timeout
Yeah.
and he didn't say a word to anyone. He just, let's just get through this. And it feels like if you're going to be in that role as
Yeah.
the team builds towards next
Yeah.
year, it's like you're in the young guy's ears. Here's what we're doing. Here's where you're falling short. Here's where wherever. And obviously Torch doesn't want to do that, which is fine. But you just don't need to publicly say, I'm not interested in learning how to be this kind of coach.
Well, he had to do all that after he benched Cam York in a contract year in a team where nobody can touch the puck for the whole game. He had to single out Cam York, but give me a break.
So you cut it down to 5D when you know it's going to be a tough night for everybody, not just that guy. Like, why would you put more weight and heat on 5 defensemen and leave him on the bench? Like, you do that if you're maybe still in a hockey game or you need to. But when your lineup stinks that bad and you still want to single out a guy and take the team to 5D, makes zero sense to me. Again.
Soft schedule down the stretch, too. Like, you think you could learn some things down the way. I don't know. Here's my prediction. My prediction is Torts finishes the final. They have 9 games left in the press box for at least 2 or 3 of the games. Just watches and says to his assistants, here's an opportunity for you.
Didn't he do that
Listen,
last year?
He's done that.
Yeah, and
He doesn't want to do it.
listen, if I'm Keith Jones today as president of this organization
maybe.
and general manager Daniel Briere, I'm having a conversation with him going, how do we put you back in that room? How do we get guys to look at you and go, you're still with us?
Mm-hmm.
As it's, to
I
me,
bet you he says something about it today where he's like, I misspoke yesterday. It's not what I meant.
maybe, but we know where your heart is.
I think we do.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe he does apologize in some way, shape, or form to say I'm not quitting on the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't mean it that way, and then you move on. But I think he just announced that he's stepping down as Philadelphia Flyer head coach last night. That's the comment I got last night.
Yeah, maybe
Which-
not literally,
so then-
but emotionally.
So then
Could
why did you
open-
bring this up in the Nashville Hour, my friend?
What's going to happen with Rick Tocchet?
No contract.
Let's
Former.
connect the dots.
Yeah.
A very rich history with the Philadelphia Flyer organization. A present coach there who's not interested in that. Where do you think Tocchet is? Is this simply about a guy that needs to reassess where he is as a coach of the Vancouver Canucks, or more where he is in that market?
Yeah.
Because there's some crazy ass off ice stories that have gone on where he can sit there and go, I only signed up to coach.
Yeah. You know what's funny is, like I think I said in our Leafs Hour, I can't see Tocchet wanting to go coach that Flyers team. That Flyers team does not have much of a chance to win next year. Like, does he really want to be a coach of a rebuild? However, if he looks at the Canucks and says, how are we better next year? What's different? I don't know. Like, where are the Canucks in their arc of getting better? If the Flyers trade, they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds, and they traded some players.
Anything to
you don't
do
think
with
success
arc.
matters? Okay.
I think it's a tough market, and it's a tough owner too.
I think that's the point.
Okay, it's a tough owner that maybe needs more reinforcement, that maybe he doesn't want to spend all that time with, or at least maybe it's not him doing it. Maybe it's Rutherford doing it that comes back to him. And I think it's just a dynamic that seems to keep following this organization with just stuff. Like, these two guys don't get along, or,
it's been a stuff-filled year.
Like, it's more
even stuff out of their control. They're like, Demko has a weird knee thing, and we've never seen it before. Yeah.
Does he feel like he has to babysit more than be a NHL head coach out there?
Yeah. No, you're right. So would that make Philly more appealing, where you're like, look, Jones and Briere are the guys. They really like you. You get to be the guy.
To me, it's like a 6 or 7 year contract
Yeah.
in Philly, not a 4 or 5.
We got all these picks. We have young players. You're going to be here for the whole ascent.
Yeah.
Yeah. It could happen. He hasn't signed an extension, possibly for a reason.
In the meantime, how big is this game tonight against the Islanders?
Well,
is this a 3-point? This has got 3 points written all over it.
It's massive, just in that if they lose tonight, you're 5 back with 10 games to go. It gets real hard to climb the standings. St. Louis has Nashville tomorrow, which you think they're going to get points there again. Calgary being as hot as they are, you need every point. Let's say they need to get to what? 92, 93, 93 points. They have 78 points right now and 11 games to go.
Oof.
You need,
when you say it like that.
Yeah. So we're looking at 15 points.
You need 5 out of 6 points against the Islanders, Columbus, and Seattle.
That's what's
Winnipeg. Well, yeah, that's their next 4 games. Islanders, Columbus, Winnipeg, Seattle. You need, for sure,
6 points minimum.
6 out of 8.
Yeah.
5 out of 8, maybe. And then must wins against Anaheim. And then it gets dicey.
I would say the Canucks on their schedule.
Vegas, Dallas, and Colorado.
For the rest of this season, they still got to play the Jets, Vegas, Dallas, Colorado, Vegas. Those are games that are included in the 11.
Here's the good news.
Quinn Hughes.
Right?
Honestly, if they make the playoffs and he continues to play
MVP.
30 minutes and gets points, it's
starting to look like a video game now to me.
He is ascended to the next level, to say the least. All right, what else we got on tap tonight? Oilers, Dallas.
Dinner.
Yeah.
And watching you.
We should say, for our loyal Real Kyper and Bourne listeners, we are not on the air tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
We are off tomorrow. The Toronto Blue Jays have their season opener, and I believe it starts at 3:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We start at 4. Baseball games are long. There is no time for us, so they will be on tomorrow.
But Kip and I are on the 10:30 p.m. regional if you want to catch us.
That's a tough bounce on a day off, boys.
I'm coming from Crab Legs at
the Jays game?
At the Jays game.
I'm coming in PJ pants.
Sammy, no more baseball.
Blue Jays.
All baseball tomorrow. We've got the Blue Jay jersey up.
Yeah.
Let's.
It's going to be a great season, Sammy. Vladdy signing. Tell me some good news.
By tomorrow.
There has been some more hopeful rhetoric out of the Toronto Blue Jays front office over the past couple weeks. Hopeful. But
I talked to some baseball knowers, and I said 90 wins for the Jays this year, and they laughed at me.
Yeah, because it's going to be way more.
Right, that's it.
Our thanks to Ken Wiebe. Did a terrific job today covering the Winnipeg Jets and the Western Conference. Enjoy my boy Justin Bourne tonight on the National Game of the Week on Sportsnet. And we're back Friday.
Off the rails.
Go Jays, go.